another live show of Anime Talk. I am your host, Joe Animated. By now, you should know who I am, hopefully. Thanks for signing in and coming to listen to us today. I have got three great guests again, and I will let them introduce themselves. If you want to go ahead, Emperor J.
Alright, I'm Emperor J. Right for the oddly named Lower Mid-Table anime vlog. And you can see me with the Julian Mincy facepalm avatar.
They can find you on Twitter at Emperor J. Anywhere else?
My anime list, it's Emperor J is there, as well as Last FM, if anyone uses that.
Alright. Cadian, why don't you go ahead?
Hey guys, I'm Cadian. Sometimes write for the Nihon Review. Do a lot of damage on Twitter. Gotta administer the Terabad group at 6 Ave.
AKA, you're one of the kings of Terabad. And we also have a second guest from the Nihon Review. Do you want to go
Hi,
ahead?
my name is Kalaran. I'm an editor for the Nihon Review. I blog about really pretentious things, and yes, that picture is me in Las Vegas with a spoon on my nose. You can reach me on Twitter at Kylaran Ailden, and I'm looking forward to this show. Thanks for having me.
Great, guys. So let's start with an easy topic for this show. We're about 2/3 of the way, 3/4 of the way through the spring season. Summer's coming. So what anime are you most looking forward to this summer? Jay, why don't you start?
Actually, I think everyone has to start with the new Moyashimon.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that?
Well, I think the first season went a long way as far as establishing Noitamina as a real solid animation block. And I think this hopefully marks a return to its roots.
I think for those who don't know what Moyashimon is, it's about some college kids going to an agricultural school, and one of them has a special ability to see microbes, not really as realistically rendered microbes, but like kind of cute little plushy things that speak to him, and he uses this ability to brew alcohol, I guess, do other neat stuff. So it's pretty popular because it's got this quirky sense of humor. It's still about college kids kind of finding their way through life, making friends, all that good stuff. And,
I still remember. Oh, sorry. I still remember from the. Oh, my bad. Go for it. Sorry.
Okay, well, I think it's a surprise that this sequel is coming out because the first season was in 2007, so it's been 5 years since the first one, and that's really a long time for something to kind of sit on the back burner. Although the live action was 2 years ago, there's a live action version of Moyashimon. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that from the first season there was I just remember the scene where they had like one episode where they talked about like the stinkiest foods in the world, and ever since then I've just always wanted to eat those really stinky foods. And I remember I love stinky food, and I don't know if it's because
the stuff that ferments in the can.
It's like stirring something. I don't remember, but it's like Swedish, and like traditionally, like indigenous people used to make it by like putting fish in a dead walrus and then letting it ferment inside the walrus after burying it underground for 2 weeks.
They put seagulls in a seal, I think, and they bury it. That was in the very first episode.
That was the first episode. I was just, I
That
loved
actually, that actually put me off from watching that series for the first time. I was like, oh man, this is so gross. I can't stand it.
See, I have to admit, I've never seen it at all. So I'm completely oblivious to what's happened in the past. Maybe I'll have to pick up the original run and then try to catch up for this season.
Well, and let's not forget the whole self-discovery journey that Kay goes on.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you can really call it a journey, because it kind of just comes out in the last episode. Well, you should you should see that for yourself. But I'm interested to how they, in this new season, how they would junction into developing those storylines more with the characters. I don't know if it's gonna be a new year. Like, they were freshmen. Some of their seniors, not seniors. Some of their upperclassmen might have been seniors. I don't know if they move on or anything.
See,
Yeah, but I'm just.
I was thinking, other than Moishamon, there really isn't. Okay, personally for me, there really isn't a lot coming out this summer that's going to keep my interest. There seems to be a lot of clones, a lot of
Sequels.
second
a lot of
season.
second
Yeah.
seasons. I mean, who doesn't anticipate a great Horizon season? But I don't know. I think I'm going to do a lot of catching up on what's in my backlog. It's not that great of a summer.
I have a couple of shows that might have potential, but I'm not really holding my breath for. Humanity Has Declined is one I guess I'm going to keep my eye on. It looks like a sort of quirky comedy, a lot of offbeat imagery. I just like the art style of it, like pastels and kind of imaginative backgrounds. The trailer had a nice sounding soundtrack. I kind of like that quirky, a little more slow-paced comedy, but I don't know what it's actually going to be like.
Is that the one that's based off a light novel?
I don't know.
Yeah, actually, it is. It's
Yeah,
the writer.
It's with the
light
pink girl
novel
with the really long
adaptations
hair?
have been.
Is that the one? I don't know. I'm having trouble.
Someone was saying a lot of stuff.
I'll say it's the one with the girl with the long pink hair, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, with like a scientist dude in the back, I guess.
Gotcha.
I don't know if there's anything worth like taking a punt on. I'd go for Arve Rezel. I know it's adapted by Zax, which screams terrible.
I'm trying to find what that is. Is that in the top line or?
Bottom
Someone,
line on the TV.
someone just
Oh,
mentioned
okay.
elections in chocolate.
Oh, Koi Choco, as it's going to be known in the Weeaboo circles.
I think there are some shows that people are looking out for. Probably, I mean, Sword Art Online. There was like a recent translation of, I think, the first volume or something, and people seem to really like it. I think that has potential as an anime. You don't really see. I don't really know. I think it's more. It'll be enjoyable. I think in anime format. I like the original novels, and then other than that, I'm actually looking forward to Dog Days season 2 because I really like the voice acting in the first one, and even the story sucked like a lot.
You and Kibitsun, the two fans.
The two load fans.
And since I think on Twitter everyone's going mad over Muv Love alternative,
Love.
you can't forget to mention that.
I can see Drago blogging Love.
I'm not familiar with the source material at all, so I have no feelings
It was
about it.
basically a spin-off of one of those.
Total Eclipse, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's Total Eclipse, but
Enough of like Rumbling Hearts, right?
well,
Is that the one I'm thinking
of? Same origin.
Okay.
Huh.
Like,
I think Muglove is like the storyline's pretty cool and it's kind of complicated and there's a lot of from what I remember of the few scenes I played of the visual novel is like a lot of gore. I think people who are more into that kind of stuff might like it more. I don't remember if there's a lot of gore. I just remember this one scene of like some girl with like her face ripped off or something and dying. I don't remember. Definitely not my thing, but I know some people are really into the whole future robots, aliens kind of thing, and that's what it's all about.
It seems so late 90s.
Actually,
the
the thing I like out of like the original source material was basically just token generic harem, and then they managed to spin that off of part of that
into this like crazy
to create this
sci-fi violence.
So let's move on to our next topic here. We've talked a lot about the different contests going on in the Anosphere. We've got the Anablog Tourney, the Sci Mecha Tournament, and then another fun one is the Fantasy Anime League on MAL. I think, Cadian, you're participating. Are you participating, Jay?
Yes, you have to scroll down all the way 203 spots to find me.
So the key to this foul is to kind of gauge the mass, gauge the mob, and extracting some meaningful, maybe even in the end, extracting some meaningful statistics about who watches what and what's popular, what you think is popular, what may not be popular. You know, Cadian, what are you kind of getting out of this anime league?
Well, it keeps track of all the new shows in the spring. So anything that was carried over from the winter, it kind of ignores. But the new shows like Bankeria, Sekimichi no Apollon, Medica Box, and it keeps track of the watching, number of people watching it, number of people who dropped it, the average score, the number of people who marked it as a favorite, and the forum discussion. And of these, I say 5 numbers, it kind of comes up with a weekly point total, and they add them together based on kind of shows you put on your team and compares it to everyone else who made up the team. And I've been tracking the top 20 or so shows based on these numbers. And there's a couple things that I found that maybe I have more insight into that I didn't know before, like the kinds of shows that are really popular with the MAL user base. You look at the top 5 or 6 this season, they are Sankareya, Yoka, Excel World, Dusk Maiden of Amnesia, Korean Zombie, second season. So, I mean, you kind of see a similarity between the kinds of shows that are popular. There's like teen, high school romance, kind of like a lot of teen-centric action, maybe an Excel World, and Zetman. Zetman was kind of popular early on. And I looked at the past most popular shows. They've been doing this since 2008, I think, biannually. And some of the past most popular shows are like Vampire Knight, Soul Eater, Conad, Chaos Head, Angel Beats.
So we're talking quality.
Yeah, we really are. It really puts in perspective for me, like, exactly what people like. Or what's getting the eyeballs, at least. But then when you do some more advanced metric analysis, the two ones that stand out to me are the average score and the drop to watching ratio. So normally when weeks go on in this contest, the watching, the drop, the favorites, and watching, drop, and favorites usually all go up incrementally every week. The score stays the same, and a week-to-week change usually only changes by 1/100th of a point. That's what usually happens with a regular show. But so it's interesting to see which ones really rise over several weeks and which ones really fall. That's really an indicator of the people who want to watch this show really think it's bad or really think it's good. So some of the ones that stand out, Sakamichi no Hawan. It has risen, since I've been following these points, it has risen 0.1 points, and it has the highest score of all the shows I'm keeping track of. It's an 8. This week is an 8.54. That's half a point higher than anything else, pretty much. So it's really loved by pretty much everyone who's watching it, and that is increasing since the beginning. Means it's a really high quality show, I think. Plus, I think. But then you look at some of the losers, like Medica Box. It started at a 7.15 or like a 7.2, which is kind of already really low, and it slowly dropped to like almost a flat 7 week on week. But it has it's in the top 10 of people viewing. It's a top 10 rank on pure number of people watching the show, which means it has a premise that's popular, but people don't like it anyway. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, Medaka is great for the shonen big boob randomness, but yeah, people just aren't sticking with it consistently.
Or you could just be more simple about it. It's the difference between an 8 and a 7.
Well, I think that's a misnomer that I've kind of figured out. The initial score is based on what the hype people go into the season. If they're gonna like a show based on its premise, on its character designs, it's gonna start with a really high score. But it's the evolution of the score over the weeks that's really indicative of what its true metal is, I think. Like, I don't have an axe to grind against Medica Box. I haven't seen a single minute of it. But just seeing its numbers just drop precipitously week after week kind of tells me it's a show I probably don't want to pick up. You know?
Yeah, so I guess their whole point is that it doesn't really matter what the numbers themselves are. It's sort of how the change in the numbers manifests as like
that's
a measure of the psychological the impact to the people's opinions, right?
Yeah.
So would the scoring make more sense though if the difference between week to week was greater than 1/10 of a point? I mean, it seems like everything's jammed into this 2 points worth of scale. Do you see where they can maybe improve that scaling factor so that things are more drastic? So you actually see these things more obviously?
Actually, I'd say the biggest difference you see week to week is on forum posts.
Yeah.
Those are overpowered as far as the fantasy anime league is concerned. You get a lot of people saying, "Oh, this episode was terrible," and it racks up points. It has the
Yeah,
opposite
you
effect.
definitely see where the discussion goes. Even a kind of poor show like Mega Box gets a lot of discussion, but a medium show, well, kind of under the radar show or something like, I don't know, Polar Bears gets maybe 13 points a week, while the others get like 200. There
So-
just isn't a whole lot to say about.
So is the forum posting then skewing the actual scores?
They're only scored every other week. But the popular shows get a lot of the discussion, so it's
the
pretty
really,
proportional,
the really
I think.
popular as well as the really unpopular.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say unpopular because they still lead in the number of people watching. So they're still popular, but they're not well received.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it's the classic case of it's better to be bad than to be okay.
It's better to be either really bad or really good, but not just in the middle. It's kind of like the movie
Right.
The Producers. Have you guys seen that?
Yeah.
They make the most
The-
horrible Broadway production they can because it generated the most interest and brought in lots of money. It wasn't like they took that opposite approach. Why make something really good when you can achieve the same result by being really terrible?
Well,
Well,
it takes
that's the
like
thing with all of these shows, though, is that they're all focus groups to where they're supposed to attract an audience. So in theory, they shouldn't be intentionally bad.
I would argue it still takes almost as much talent to be really, really bad as it is to be really, really good.
This is the king of Terabad speaking.
I mean, you have to be something really special to stand out, like Guilty Crown a season ago. Something like Guilty Crown, I don't think comes along every season or even every other season.
What the beautiful Terabad?
Yeah, it's a
It's a once-in-a-deck TV show.
Yeah, maybe once a year, something like that comes along.
That's not very special.
I think, considering there's like 200 shows a year, I mean,
Yeah, it's one of those. Because what else? I mean, what would you say from last season or last year would have been the equivalent of a Guilty Crown? Then?
I don't remember.
I mean,
I know a lot of people would say
yeah.
C was the equivalent of Guilty Crown.
C3
Last
or
year.
C cubed.
No, just C.
The possibility of money control. I don't know about that.
Yeah, I got through. Yeah, that's one of those ones. See, I guess for me, the only reason I stuck with Guilty Crown was for people like you, where every week it was fun to just join in and mock it for a half hour. You know, for other shows that just are like that, I just drop after 2 or 3 episodes. So I don't ever see the conclusion or I see the end of how bad it really is.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the benefits to having these watches with people and sitting down with people. The social aspect of watching anime is that you may watch something you typically wouldn't, and you may get exposed to something you wouldn't normally be a part of.
Yeah.
So let's move to our last preset topic for the night. We're gonna open up for some big debate here. Maybe we'll do this as a roundtable, but there's always a debate every so often about sub versus dub. It seems to rise and fall on forums and /A, etc. So if you want, we'll go kind of roundtable. We'll give you guys each a couple minutes to talk about your thoughts on subtitles versus audio dubbing of an anime series or show. If you want to start, Tyler.
Alright, I'm gonna be honest, I don't know why we're talking about this. I thought this debate was long dead like a decade ago. What
It
the
never
fuck?
dies.
It's the eternal debate. It never dies.
It's like, I don't know, it's just, like, here's my opinion on it. I think, I mean, I never watched dubs. But I feel like there are people who are just overly purist, I guess, about watching anime in its original format or like subs only. But I don't know. I used to be a fan subber and done some translations here or there. I'm just gonna tell you right now is that 90% of the stuff you're watching is like utter shit. I mean translation quality wise. So like what you're getting is gonna be diluted either way. It's just that if you get the dub, at least it's gonna be made by an official company, and hopefully there'll be logical reasons why they change things in a certain way.
Well, the origins of this debate came up from the 90s the 80s and 90s, when anime that came to the West were released in subtitle format or dub format, and on a VHS tape. So you had to choose one. So that's where the historical origin of this debate comes from. Would you rather watch the subtitle or watch the dub? I think the subtitle was always costed more also. So it was like, was the quality of the subtitle better than the dub?
Isn't there? It was also what was it? It was also not just that, but not like translation quality, but like also like voice acting quality. I mean, there's a lot more people who say they wanted to be like voice actors, like anime voice actors or something now.
Well, to be completely honest, a ton of the dubs from the early days, like the 90s, were utter crap.
Yeah, let's just pick a guy off the street. Quality.
Like Guardian's Wing quality.
That's what.
It's like, here, have $20 and some lunch and record some lines.
The Evangelion dub was just like they picked guys from the in-house studio. They weren't even actors. There's like pound engineers or something. All the computer geeks. You take this role. They just weren't very well made. And I think that's part of the fuel for the fire, is that a lot of those dubs are just utter shit, and no one could take them. Or the rewrites too. If anyone remembers, like the treatment Cardcaptors got, Cardcaptor Sakura turned into Cardcaptors. They rewrote the order of the episodes. They changed characters' names. They replaced the music. It was just a butchery job, pretty much.
So you still get that these days.
Well, actually, I would say it's extremely rare now to get an incompetent dub.
And I would say, I'll keep going. Sorry.
I just think the practice the stable of actors has gotten through the years has just improved. The companies now have a group of people they can trust and rely on to do an adequate job, if not a perfect job, when they call them into dub.
Well, yeah, it transitioned from basically amateurs to part-time work. When you're going against the original Japanese, which is fully professional, it's a quality issue. It's going to come up soon. Well, that's not what they do full-time.
Well, now you've got like Disney, which is buying up a bunch of the more major studio stuff and providing real voice talent behind things. I mean, you've got some real, I guess, mainstream American actors providing the voice acting behind some of these movies, and you're actually getting some really good quality.
Because they pay them more.
Well, yeah, they're paying people tens of thousands of dollars rather than, a random guy who's in actor school, $50 on a weekend. So Jay, we haven't heard much from you. What are your thoughts? Are you a dub person, a subtitle person? Do you just go with the flow, whatever comes your way?
Well, I know from all the Terabad watches, we go with dubs for those whenever possible. And there's a good reason for that, since those are back in the amateur days of some food and here's $40. I guess it just comes down to the classic accessibility versus purity argument. I just tend to lie in the subtitle realm just because that's how it was originally created. Dubs are fine for children who don't try to understand the language, but
See, I find the purity argument, the purity stance, as pretty weak. Being of the original, I think the Japanese dubs are usually of a higher quality, but that's because that's their livelihood. That's a viable industry. So you expect them to be better compensated, I want to say, and held to a higher standard. So that's natural. But just because it's pure, just because it's Japanese, I think that's kind of snobbish.
Well, it's kind of done its head in recent years, where accessibility is now the subtitled version versus the dub.
Yeah.
I think in the end what it comes down to is like people, there's just some people who don't care, like, oh, this was originally Japanese, oh yeah, I don't really care, I watched it in English. Like, growing up, I watched all my Ghibli movies dubbed in Chinese, and I didn't even know they're Japanese. And like, I don't know, for a lot of people it just doesn't really matter, and like, I feel like if you're going to be on Twitter, if you're going to be blogging about anime, in the end you're going to like, because you're relying on either streams or other methods besides buying of getting your anime. You probably most of it's going to be in some format, and then I don't know. There's multiple reasons. Either you wanted to listen to the Japanese in the first place, or it just happens that you like keeping up with the newest anime, and in the end, it just makes it so that you're used to hearing the Japanese and reading the subs, and in the end, you become accustomed to it, so that you can't stand the dubs. I feel like there's also just people who I feel like the majority of the people in the first place actually just kind of just went one way or the other and didn't really bother having to see a need to switch over.
There are a few dubs that really add something to the show. When you think of the Baccano dub, did all the time accents from the time period, the way they speak, it really adds something substantial to the experience there. If you guys saw the previews to the Panty and Stocking dub, I think that really, again, adds something, some experience. It adds layers of, I guess, pop culture references, because that show is so dependent on spoofing a lot of Western cartoon and movie tropes. So it feels right being in a kind of snarky English dub. So there are times where dubs really go the extra mile and give you a better experience than the standard pretty good Japanese.
So we'll finish up on that note here. We'll go to our first user question. So actually I just lost it. What either manga, light novels, or some sort of medium, non-animated medium, storylines would you guys like to see animated into a show? Kai, why don't you start?
This is just long silence, and everyone's
I
like,
know.
I'm trying to interpret what that question means.
So let's say you have a favorite manga that you really like to see. Like for me, this season it was MGX. I've been reading it for the last 2 or 3 years, love it. Finally got to see it animated. What would you what are you looking for to see animated or brought to the big screen?
Oh, balls. Do I have to go first?
It's either you or Jay. I mean, we've heard a lot of Katie, and we'll try to round it out a bit.
So you can skip me.
I don't know. How about a full adaptation of Kimimachi rather than the 2-episode OVA? I know it causes lots of rage to every reader who has ever come across it.
What is that?
I just think it needs to be, the Kimi no Iromachi.
That doesn't ring a bell. Describe it, please.
The manga by the same guy who wrote Suzuka?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. I'm assuming that
this question expects me to have any sort of experience outside of anime.
And that actually brings up even a better question, is that I've noticed, just in my observation, that a lot of people who watch anime and watch it heavily don't really delve into, and this is not for everybody, I'd rather that, but don't delve into the manga or the light novel stuff. They're really focused on what's animated. So maybe a bigger question is for you guys, do you guys watch mostly animation? Do you read about 50-50? Where do you guys focus your attention to? And is that question even relevant for you guys?
I think we're a product of our generation that we consume so much of our entertainment through a visual medium, televisually, TV, movies, anime. I think it's just how we were raised.
Well, Jay, do you read anything, or are you purely just an anime watcher? I've never really seen you reference anything.
Oh, because basically the only manga I read is usually tagged with harem.
The only manga I'm reading right now is Yotsuba, because there's no anime on that.
In other words, Jay reads too much hentai manga for it ever to be
No.
anime.
Well, maybe it does read that way, but if you're going with harem tropes, it never leads that way. It just leads to inconclusive endings.
Yeah.
Well, unless you're reading something like Strawberry 100%, and eventually he does end up choosing somebody. But
yeah, that was a pretty good ending.
Eventually, after his milk gets his cash.
After he's basically gotten with every girl in the group. Yep. Yeah. But here, a second question, since most of you guys are anime reviewers, bloggers. So what would you rather review or blog? A comedy, an action, or something more on the serious side? Like a Slope Bros. I consider that more on the serious rather than a comedy or anything like that.
Oh god, I would love to blog like a light action series, like comedy action. I just don't see that much of it going in.
Sure.
Okay, Kai, what about you?
What?
I mean, isn't the most important thing in the end? I kind of cherry pick my anime because admittedly I read more manga than I watch anime. I actually read all the manga of the anime that I like and just never finish watching the anime because I guess I'm like an elitist purist in that sense. If it's based off a manga, I'd rather read the manga instead, even if people say the anime is better. But I don't know, I guess in the end, it's just if it's good, then I'll blog about it, and if it's bad, I don't really know what to say. I probably just drop it before I'd really go on a blogging spree about how bad it is. I mean, I leave that to the realm of some other Nihon Review reviewers, like the King of Terabad himself and Shimaru. They seem to like Terabad stuff.
Well, I mean, if your question is based on what genre would you prefer to write about, I guess it'd be the more dramatic one, but that's just assuming that, I guess it's an assumption on my part that a drama is kind of more complex. That's what I want to get from writing about anime. I want to explore the complexity, the highs and lows of the anime.
I don't know. If you look deep enough in anything, you can find highs and lows.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's why I said I'm making an assumption on average, but like I'm sure there are plenty of comedies that are really, really good and smart and have something to say in addition to being funny, or some action shows that are really involving and complex and have deep moral themes, shit like that. So, you know, it's hard to say based on genre. It's more of a case-to-case basis, which is kind of a cop-out answer. You know?
Just a bit.
Yeah.
So we got
like Black Lagoon, you would primarily call that an action show, right? But it has these amazing dramatic moments in it where the characters are wrangling with their place in the world and you know who they are. That's the kind of show that's really, really interesting to talk about and think about. So it depends on the show.
So do any of you guys play the Aerogs or the visual novels, anything like that?
Like, Arog just reminded me of, like, the Balrog from Lord of the Rings.
Sorry. Are any of you guys? I don't know very much about you guys in that respect. Or do you guys play those? Do anything with that?
I certainly don't play that much, but I have played a lot of the games that are that I have, like I said, basically cherry-picked the good ones. So I've played most of the key ones. You know, yeah, I played, like I said before, I played parts of Muv-Luv, though I didn't finish it.
So do you watch the anime then that have been made from those, or not?
Actually, no, I don't. I think I spend the rest of my time, like, playing Dota or StarCraft. It's terrible.
Well, I did back in college. I played some of those. Which is funny because memorable ones from those days were I actually played H2O, and then it had the bad anime adaptation. Which almost killed me.
Was the game any better? Like, seriously? I don't know. Like,
No.
was it actually a decent game?
Nah, no, not really.
But it wasn't that. It wasn't that, was it?
It seemed more artistic than
Okay.
the anime made it out to be.
So last question here, guys. If the anime season this year was to stop at the end of spring, what would be your pick for the best show this year?
So basically, what's the best show of spring?
What's the best show between winter and spring? If you had to stop right now between these two seasons,
what the fuck was winter even? I don't remember anything from winter.
I know. Spring has
too
been
old.
far better than anything this year so far. So if you have to, just choose the best from spring, which is probably not hard. But if you had to stop and choose your favorite or the best, what you think was the best from this year, what would you choose?
But without even the season being over, though. So you have to, like, extrapolate what you think the end of the...
Okay, so math and science guy, extrapolate to the end. Take your Mal stats and ride them to the finish. And what do you think? What do you think would be the best show this? Forgetting this winter, then we'll scrap that. Let's say everything good is going to come from spring season. What would be the best for this year?
I think, okay, I'll go first. I think it'll be Fate Zero, the second season. It has it all. It has the animation, the sound, the voice acting. It has the action and the drama and the crazy, like, battle for the crazy Holy Grail big guffin thing. It just has everything that you really want.
Yeah, you say MacGuffin, and then suddenly...
So, Emperor J, what do you think?
I don't know. I think there's a case to be made for, even though it only ran for 3 episodes, Thermite My.
I forgot about that show.
That was probably
Thank
one of
you
the
for
best shows.
reminding
That was
me.
probably one of the best shows this winter. I mean,
Yeah.
they should have canceled BRS and let that finish out that slot. I mean, it would have been so much better, but they choked. That's okay. They could have left BRS for just OVA drama, played it out once a season, and let it die, but they didn't.
Although if we're going to take spring, I think it's going to end up being Apollon probably.
That's a fine choice.
I think I don't know, it's hard.
It
There's
feels
nothing-
like a safe choice, unlike, say, Sengoku Collection, which I'm actually loving at this point.
I
I
think,
mean-
wouldn't Space Brothers also be a safe choice?
Yeah.
It's not, I don't know, it's not that good though. It's enjoyable, it's fun to watch. You watch it because it's enjoyable, not because necessarily it's as good. Like, I wouldn't say, if I was going to put 13 episodes of Fate Zero up against 13 episodes of Space Bros, I would
Yeah.
say Zero would be much better in that 13
Space
episode
Bros
run.
doesn't like knock you off your seat or anything.
No,
But I think
I won't give it up.
Space Brothers is like a long-term anime, right? It's like
Yeah.
It's 50 episodes.
it's like yeah, it's planned to be 50 episodes, so that really impacts 13 against 13.
True. There's a much longer objective. Well, then even then, you could say 26 and 26 if you want to compare both seasons of Fate Zero up against Space Bros. But it's kind of diverging from the question quite a bit.
Or are we going 13 and 13 on Lagrange?
Oh, that show.
This is kind of sad. Actually, the one that I look forward most to watching is what's it called? It's Excel World. I don't know. I just every time I come back,
World.
new Excel World stuff. I'm gonna watch this and just see this like fat short kid like get it with this really hot chick.
I see it as wish fulfillment, the anime.
Yeah, maybe I'm just like projecting myself. To
But it's a
the character
great
because I'm like fat and short.
Hey,
But that's a great
that's how
shonen
it's,
show. It's
like
perfect.
really popular, yeah.
It's a perfect
Like,
shonen show. You know,
wish
the
fulfillment.
fat
Hey
short
guys,
kid gets the
don't
hot
judge,
finish.
okay? Don't judge, alright?
So you're getting into this Twitter conversation we had earlier about who's taller, you know, comparing height sizes. Is that what we're getting into now?
The sad thing is that
I'm
like
glad I missed that.
the depictions of the actual anime like are like nothing close to like real heights or whatever. Like tall girls in anime are like 5'7" or something, and it's just like yeah, it's just like it
Yes.
unless you actually realize it, you don't like you're just like, oh, that girl's really tall, but he's like, what, 5'7"? What?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm imagining the lead in Excel World is like 3'8".
No, he's like Pikachu size. Comes up to girls like knees. I don't know, a good resource just to see what's pretty good this season is the power rankings on Kevin's site. I mean, it has a top 5, but it's really like a top 10, and it has pretty much all the good shows every week.
Yeah, I'd say there's a much
Except
more
Suritama, which makes it every week inexplicably.
You know, LSD wins every time. Got that LSD squirt gun getting you in the face. I watched the first. Oh, we won't go there. Yeah, Suritama is great for those who love it. I won't knock anybody who does. I'll
Okay.
stay out of that. Oh, but anyways, guys, I think we've got.
I want to punch every character in the face. Okay, now we can continue.
Oh, you guys.
Oh,
So much anger.
now that's even more frustrating than what I think it is. But that's okay. Now you're not blogging it, are you, Jay?
No.
Okay. Well, I won't put Kara and you in the same room. That could get violent.
They're in the same chat on Terravad every week, though. No, that's the great thing about Terravad. we don't have to agree on the good shows
It
because
brings
we
people
all
together.
agree. We all agree on what the really bad shows are. You know?
It's almost 5 a.m. in Northern Ireland. I could care less.
Oh, so to kind of finish up, guys, do you have any final thoughts about what we've talked about today? If you want, we'll go around table and you guys can give your final piece to the attentive audience here. Jay, why don't you start?
Oh man, when we were going back to that sub versus dub debate, I guess I wanted to talk more about. You see, even the popular episodes get probably about 80,000 from the, your original horrible subs riffs. And you could probably say
Oh,
there's
you're talking
about
about torrents and
150,000 legitimate views.
You're talking about
But-
torrents?
Yeah, torrents. So you're thinking like maybe 150,000 people download an episode or watch it through legal or illegal means. When you really think about it, it's not really that large a total.
Well, that's just people who get it right away. Who know about these shows and outlets, I guess. It depends on the show. Which one were you talking about?
Actually, I was just pulling those numbers from Naruto.
Okay.
Gotcha. So,
I mean,
so Cadian, what's your final thought?
I don't know. I don't have any final thoughts.
You've laid it all out there tonight.
Yeah.
He brought his A game today.
My
Just those
highly
damn
erroneous-
stats were. Oh, the
My
stats were
highly
just.
erroneous opinions are up for you to pick apart now.
I can see Cadian writing the Moneyball book equivalent of the fantasy anime league. You'll see this light novel adaptation of Foul on Nihon Review here soon. You'll learn all the tricks of the trade and how to read the mob and win fantasy anime league.
I'll only approve Brad Pitt as my role.
Oh, Kai, what are your final thoughts on what we've talked about tonight? Anything else you want to get out there?
I just want to say that I hope no one ever talks about the sub versus dub debate ever again. And if they do, I hope the Yeti comes out of Canada or wherever the fuck he is and just manhandles you into oblivion. Thank you for listening, everyone.
Oh, so coming up next week, it is Ladies' Night. I have AJ the Fourth and Ella Genis, so that should be a lot of fun. Usually the ladies get overpowered by the guys, so they'll get the chance to kind of speak their minds for once and not get drowned out.
But yet the host is the same.
What's that?
But yet the host is the same.
So you can find this show and others at WordPress at joeanimated.wordpress.com. You can podcast this if you want and listen to it when it's not live. And if you're interested in joining me, you can email me at gmail.com and we'll get you engaged and get you on. But I want to thank the three of these guys for coming on and spending some time with us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Yes,
Yeah, it was fun. Very fun.
and hopefully you guys will tune in next week and even come on again. Thank you, everyone, and have a good night.
Night.